The Apple logo is one of the most famous, immediately recognizable logos in the world. What many people don't know though is that it's gone through several changes, including 2 major redesigns, to get to the logo that we all know and love today. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the history and evolution of this logo, from Apple's humble beginnings in 1976 to the present day. The first logo was designed in 1976 by Apple co-founder Ronald Wayne. It's a hand-drawn image in ink featuring the scientist Sir Isaac Newton sitting under an apple tree. In the border is a quote from the English poet William Wordsworth that reads, "Newton, a mind forever voyaging through strange seas of thought alone." This quote is from Wordsworth's autobiographical poem The Prelude. This logo was used in Apple's advertising and in early manuals for the Apple I computer and peripherals. It was to last less than a year, however, as the next logo appeared in early 1977. Apple hired a marketing firm, Regis McKenna, to design a new logo in preparation for the launch of the Apple II. It was assigned to a young designer named Rob Janoff, who was initially told to make it a type treatment with the name, a stylized version of the word Apple. Rob, however, was determined to somehow incorporate the fruit itself, and after cutting real apples in half and looking at cross sections, he came up with this logo consisting of an apple in silhouette with a single leaf sprouting from the top. This strikingly simple design was to form the basis of the logo that we all know today, but it was to be used only twice, on the second edition operation manual for the Apple I and the Apple Basic User's Manual. At the same time, Janoff designed a version of the logo with 6 coloured stripes, overlaid with the word Apple in a font called Mototectura. The curvature of the lowercase a created a cutout in the apple resembling a bite mark. The 6 coloured bands were intended to highlight the colour graphics capability of the Apple II computer, the first home computer with this capability. This logo became known as the Spectrum logo, and it was used on Apple's computers and in their advertising and packaging throughout the late 70s and early 80s. If this font looks familiar, it's because it was also used in the Reebok logo designed the same year. As well as the full colour version, Apple also used 2 single colour variants, one in black and another in a shade of red known as Apple Red. These single colour versions were used alongside the Spectrum logo on stationery and packaging in order to save money at a time when colour printing was very expensive. This logo was to last for the next 7 years. In 1984, Apple unveiled their 4th logo. They were about to release the Apple Macintosh, their biggest new product release since the Apple II 7 years earlier. The Mototectura font, which had looked futuristic in 1977, was now by the mid-80s looking positively retro, so Apple decided that the logo needed another redesign, and they hired another PR firm, Landor & Associates, to rework the logo again. The first thing Landor & Associates changed was to remove the text entirely, while leaving the cutout where the curve of the letter A had sat in place, giving us the famous Apple silhouette with a bite missing that we all know today. They also redrew the apple itself using computers, making it more symmetrical and geometrically correct. The old logo had been hand-drawn and it was slightly lopsided and asymmetrical. The colours were also changed to be more vibrant, and the indentations at the top and bottom were reduced in depth. This logo was to be used unchanged from 1984 until its final appearance in macOS 9.2 in 2001. A total of almost 17 years. Just as with the previous logo, alternate single colour versions were also used, in flat black, mid-grey and red. All 3 of these logos have been in continuous use from 1984 until today, almost 40 years later. This red version of the logo was used on much of Apple's packaging during the late 80s and early 90s, and today it's still in use as the symbol for AppleCare. In 1985, just a year after the introduction of the Mac, Steve Jobs was to be forced out of Apple by then CEO John Sculley. Apple's logo wasn't to change throughout the 12 years of Jobs' absence. In 1997, Jobs returned to Apple, and the very next year saw the release of the iMac G3. Along with it came a new logo in a range of colours to match the colours of the different iMac models. This logo was to be named the Dimensional logo due to it being the first Apple logo with a three-dimensional appearance. It was used on their packaging, in adverts, and on the computers themselves. An orange version of the Dimensional logo appeared on the box for macOS 9, even though the old Spectrum logo still clung on in the OS itself. A steel grey version appeared on the box for the first release of macOS 10. Apple's website meanwhile used a red version, later switching to a blue version to tie in with the water-inspired Aqua interface of macOS 10. In April 2000, 2 years after the first use of the Dimensional logo, Apple's new corporate identity guidelines officially retired the coloured Spectrum logo, saying, "We've taken that same sense of innovation and leading-edge design that makes our products utterly unique and applied them to the company logo. Instead of rainbow stripes, solid colours that emphasise the timeless elegance of the design of the logo." In 2002, Apple released one of their most innovative products so far, the iconic iMac G4. The next year they began using another new logo, this time with a metallic look designed to look like the polished chrome logo on the front of the new iMac. This logo saw limited use, being used primarily on Apple's website and in the About This Mac box in macOS 10.3 through 10.9. From 2013, the metallic logo was phased out and Apple returned to the flat, single-colour version first introduced in 1984. And this is the logo that Apple continues to use to this day. The colours change depending on the product, but the logo remains essentially the same. As for the future, it's practically inevitable that the current Apple silhouette logo will continue to exist for as long as Apple the company exists. After over 45 years of continuous use, the logo has become so iconic and immediately recognisable that Apple would have to be crazy to change it. The mere presence of an Apple logo on a product, whether it's a phone, a laptop, or just a cleaning cloth, is enough to make people want to buy it, and to be willing to pay a lot more than they would otherwise. Former CEO John Sculley called it one of the most powerful selling tools in recent history. That's it for this video. Let me know down in the comments which version of the logo is your favourite. Thanks for watching.